Hey drummers, it's Rob Litton here from drumstheword.com. Welcome to this full song lesson where today for free I'm going to teach you how to play the song Not 19 Forever by the Courteeners, drummed by Michael Campbell. I promised over on my Facebook page that I'd be doing a few more free lessons this week, and so here it is. I got the fully transcribed PDF drum chart for you, every single bar fully transcribed, so you can download all 3 pages from my website. You'll find a link beneath this video, so have all 3 pages printed out in front of you as we go through this together. It'll make the lesson a lot easier to understand. And if you want to make your own song suggestions, then please go over to my Facebook page. Like this song today was suggested over there. You'll find a post where I'm asking for song suggestions. Please go underneath, type your own comments, others get to vote on them, and then the most popular songs get chosen for future lessons. So, tempo is 140 BPM, and we've got a sort of a dance kind of groove, but the song starts with this drum fill. Starting on beat 3, 1 and 2 and 3 E and a 4 E and a. Just simply 16th notes, 8 of them, 3 E and a, 4 E and a, right left, right left, right left, right left, going into our first drum beat. So the tempo's 1, 2, 3, 4. So each of those pulses going to take up 4 notes. 1 E and a, 2 E and a, 3 E and a, 4 E and a. 1, 2. Da, da. So then we're into our first drum beat. Really the main drum beat of the song. The bass drum and snare drum are playing relatively simple. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1, 2. And yeah, the bass drum is playing on all 4 beats to sort of create a dance feel. And then what Michael's doing with the hi-hat is he's playing the hi-hat on the ands, the upbeats, the in-between notes of each of those bass drums. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3. If you've never played this drum beat before, it might feel a little bit weird for you to start off with. The key is to never lose sight of where the downbeat is. Feel the bass drum pumping, and then you're always feeling that as the upbeat. You don't have to do that stupid dance at the same time. So the song starts with that drum fill, it goes into a crash cymbal, and then Michael comes down to the hi-hat to play the and straight afterwards. You don't have to, you could come back in on the and of 2 with the first hi-hat note after the crash, but it's not such a fast song that you haven't got time to come back to the hi-hat for the and. So we get 1 and 2 and 3 E and a 4 E and a 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 1, 2. So that gets played for 4 bars, that drum beat, and then, not every time, but most of the time, every 4 bars, Michael does this little drum fill at the ends. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and a 1. So instead of playing the hi-hat on the and a beat 4 at the end of the bar, come down to the snare drum and we play just 2 16th notes and a 1, going into a crash, doesn't matter which crash you use, and then back to the hi-hat for the and afterwards. 1, might want to create a little loop there. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and a 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and a 1 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. Just to get used to coming to the snare drum, to the crash, back to the hi-hat, so that feels comfortable for you. So then we go on to the second line of the intro, and it's just 4 more bars of the groove, followed at the end by the and a drum fill again before we go into our first verse, verse 1. So before we do, let me play for you the first 2 lines, the intro, up to speed without the microphone on so you can hear just the drums. Here we go. So for verse 1, for the first line, I've written 8 bars there. It looks really cramped, but don't worry about it. It's exactly the same as we just played. Those 4 bars just get repeated for the first half of the line and then for the second half of the line. Then we go into the second line of verse 1, and it's just 4 more bars of that groove. But notice at the end of that second line, there's no little drum fill. And Michael does this a few times during the verses where the second to last line, he doesn't always do the little drum fill. So just be aware of that. We're going into the next line, the third line of verse 1, without a crash cymbal. If you accidentally did put a crash cymbal in, no one would mind, of course. But then at the end of that line, we get our first sort of, I think, interesting drum fill. Not that the others weren't interesting, it's just this one requires a little bit of orchestration. So we're at the bass drum underneath it, starting on beat 3, and it can be any tom you like. I've written it as this tom, it could be that tom, it doesn't matter what tom you use. 3E and 4E and 3E and 4E and If we play it all on the same drum, just simply that rhythm, but so we get this cool little 4E and on the snare drum popping out at the end, because the first note's being played on the tom, or again, it doesn't matter what tom you use. With the bass drum underneath, 3E and 4E and 3E and 4E and Let's make the whole, let's put the drum beat at the beginning of the first half of that bar as well. 1 and 2 and 3E and 4E and. So you're coming on from the hi-hat for the and beat 2, and then you're going 1 and 2 and 3, 3E and 4E and. So let's create a 2-bar loop. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4E and 1 and 2, 3 and 4, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4E and 1. Actually goes into a crash cymbal afterwards. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4E and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4E and 1. And let me just play through that last line of verse 1, just those 4 bars, up to speed, so I'm not counting over the top of it, so you can hear just the drums. So then we go into chorus 1, 8 bars there. The first 4 the same as the second 4, with the drum fill at the end, the little and a drum fill. The second line of chorus 1, 4 bars with the drum fill at the end. Then the third line, we got exactly the same again, but the drum fill at the end of that line is the drum fill from the beginning of the song, the 3 and a 4 and but this time the bass drum's pumping underneath. 1 and 2 and 3 and a 4 and a 1 and 2 and 3 and a 4 and It goes into a crash afterwards, I believe, on page 2. So you could create another little 2-bar loop. So on to page 2 then. Bridge 1, I've called it. It's just 4 bars of the groove. Notice there's no drum fill at the end of that line. We go into the beginning of verse 2, where the whole band stops. We get this crash cymbal on beat 1. 1, 2, 3, 4. Same for the second bar. 1, 2, 3, 4. But this lovely loud snare drum crack comes back in on beat 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1 and 2 and 3. And then we're back to our drum beat. So we get from the beginning of verse 2. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. You don't have to count it, you can sort of feel it. So then we go on to the second line of verse 2. No crash cymbal, notice. No drum fill at the end of that first line of verse 2 either. There is a drum fill at the end of line 2. Third line of verse 2, sorry. It's the same as the third line of verse 1. We don't have the drum fill at the end of that line. Then the next line, the last line of verse 2, ends with the 3 and 4 and exactly the same drum fill. The bass drum's underneath it. So we've already done that as well. Then to chorus 2. And I won't waste your time by saying each line now. We just got standard lines 1 and 2. Line 3 doesn't have the drum fill. Line 4 though is just half length. It ends with 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and the 1. And those last 2 bars are just rested. 1, 2. Well, you don't have to count. So that last line, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1, 2, 3, 4. Then we go into page 3. And we've got a new section of the song now. So, bridge 2, I've written in brackets Ride Cymbal. So we're up on the Ride Cymbal. And this is probably the hardest part of the song. We've got this grouping of 3 notes going across the bar. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, which resolves at the end of the second bar Then it turns around for the next two bars, but we'll get to that in a second. So it starts with the snare drum and ride cymbal. It's not crash and ride, although you could if you wanted to. It starts with the ride cymbal. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. So the resolve bit is 3 and 4 and I believe Michael plays the bass drum on beat 4 with that snare drum note. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1. I'm just looping those two bars. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1. So counting 1 and 2 and 3 over the tops makes you don't really hear it. If you counted 1 2 3 1 2 3 1 2 3 1 2 3 1 2 1 2 1 2 3, that's the pattern we got there going across the bar. Then for the second two bars, bars 3 and 4, he starts it with the bass drum. You're still feeling it as a group of 3. 1 2 3 1 2 3 1 2 3 1 2. But then the bar resolves with 3 and 4 and again. But the bass drums, I believe, come down with both those. 3 and 4 and. You could leave out the bass drums that are falling underneath the snare drums, by the way, if you really wanted to. You don't have to. No one's going to miss them. It just add emphasis to those two notes. So the first line, we get this. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Then for the next line, it's basically bars 3 and 4 repeated again. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1. And it ends with, that line ends with 1, just snare drum, bass drum and ride cymbal together. So we've got 3 and 4, 1, and then 2 more bars of rest. So let me just play it up to speed for you. Let's play those 2 lines without me yapping over the top. So let me come into what I've called the break, and it's just pumping bass drum notes on quarter notes for the first 8 bars. 1 2 3 4 1 2 3 4. Then the second line we get like a miniature drum solo. It's the first bar, 1 and 2 and 3 and a 4 and. So 3 and a 4 and 3 and a 4 and you could play it right, left, right, as I do. You could play right, left, left. It doesn't matter what sticking you use. Just make sure you get it in between the bass drums. 1 and 2 and 3 and a 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and a 4 and. Notice it's not and a 4. You could play 1 and 2 and 3 and a 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and a 4. But he doesn't. He plays 1 and 2 and 3 and a 4 and. So we're rolling into the bass drum on beat 4. 1 2 3 and a 4 and 1 2 3 and a 4 and. Second bar, same idea, very similar, except we just play 1 2 3 and 4 and. 1 2 3 and 4 and 1 2 3 and 4 and 1. So those 2 bars, 1 2 3 and a 4 and 1 2 3 and 4 and 1 2, and it just continues with the bass drum for 2 more bars. Second line is exactly the same, starts the same way. 1 2 3 and a 4 and 1 2 3 and 4 and 1. It ends on that bass drum on beat 1 of the bar 3. 1 2 3 4 1 2 3 4 and up. Comes back in with that drum fill from the intro of the song. No bass drum underneath it on beat 3 and 4, but you could if you wanted to. On the recording note, it's just 3 eander, 4 eander, and then we're into bridge 3. Now, I'll play this up to speed for you in a moment. Play this whole section up to speed for you. So bridge 3, 4 bars of standard groove with the drum fill at the end. Chorus 3, first line standard stuff. Second line standard stuff without the drum fill at the end of that line. And then the last line, the song ends with 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1. So you've got the snare drum falling on the and of beat 2, and then beat 4. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 2 and 3 4 1 2 and 3 and 4. But that little bass drum preceding the and, well, preceding 4. But you don't have to count it, you can sort of hear it, you can hear the melody if you heard the song enough times. So now let me play for you from the second line of the break, so the beginning of that little drum solo, all the way to the end of the song. Let's hear all those sections played next to each other because we've got a lot of changes going on in that one little part. Here we go. So if you've got any questions about any of that, feel free to email me, rob@drumsoftheword.com. Don't forget to download all 3 pages of the PDF from my website for free. You'll find a link beneath this video. Go over to my Facebook page if you want to make song suggestions. And then while you're at my website, you might want to consider signing up to become an online member. And what I currently offer for $97 is a full year's online access to every single full video song lesson I've ever recorded and transcribed. That's over 450 famous and popular songs. Just like this lesson, I teach you every single bar from start to finish. You get the fully transcribed PDF drum chart. And like I say, over 450 famous and popular songs up on the website already. As a thank you for signing up, I'll give you access to hundreds more little videos teaching you many, many famous drum beats, fills and even drum solos. I'll give you 3 ebooks I've written over the years containing hundreds more famous beats, fills and solos. And then over the year of your subscription, I also, over the year of your subscription, you also gain instant online access to all the new material that I upload for my members. And I record new lessons every week unless I'm ill or on holiday. So you've got a lot of cool stuff to look forward to over the year of your subscription. But if you've got any questions about any of that, feel free to email me, rob@drumsoftheword.com. And until our next drum lesson together, toodle pip and happy drumming to you.